Hello there. So with spring and summer upon us, I wanted to talk about running shoes, the best running shoes to wear if you're going to be a runner. Now, all runners are slightly different, especially if you're doing a lot of running like marathon or if you're constantly running. You might have some preferences of your own, different brands that you really like, or different heel pitches, which is basically the heel height. But this is just a general, if you're getting into running and you want to look for different brands or features that you need before you start running. I've talked about this before, but when you're looking for a shoe, running shoe, you want to make sure it has some nice supportive features to it, especially when you're out running, your foot is moving a lot. It can move more than when you're walking, and you want something to hold your foot in to make sure that your muscles aren't overworking more than they should be. So a couple things to look for: make sure that the shoe doesn't bend easily in half, so try and twist it, try and bend it. Make sure it doesn't bend through the middle here. It's okay if it bends a little bit through the toe like this, but it shouldn't bend through the middle. Also look at the back of the heel. So use your thumb, try and press at the back of the heel. There shouldn't be a lot of movement. You can also pinch around the sides. So there should be something called a heel counter in there, and that holds the heel in place, prevents it from moving around. Now, what's also helpful is finding a shoe that has an insert that comes out like this. You can take it out. The benefit of that is if you do need extra support, like an over-the-counter insert or a custom orthotic to hold your arch up or support other parts of your foot, then that will give you options in the future. Looking at the front of the shoe here, you want to make sure you find something usually with laces. Velcro might be okay, but the benefit of having laces is that you can customize the fit a little bit better to your foot. So if your foot's swelling a little bit more that day, if you're running at the end of the day, or if you're at the beginning and it's a little bit, it's not swollen as much, then you can really adjust the way the fit is on your foot. So laces really help with that, especially because there are all these different points that can help to keep your foot in place. It also gives you the option of giving you a tighter fit around the heel. So some people will find that their heel is slipping when they're running or even just walking in a running shoe. So you can use different lacing techniques. So if you look here, there's two eyelets at the back of the shoe. Using that last one will hold that heel in place, prevent it from sliding as much. And you can also do something called the heel lock, which I've done something about that before, but if you just Google heel lock, that will show you how to do that lacing technique. Another helpful feature in a shoe is finding a shoe that has multiple widths. So if you find a shoe that has, well, all shoes will have different lengths. So you're like your 9, 10, 11, 12, that's the length this way. But you want to find a shoe that has different widths available. So something this way. Those are indicated by letters, A, B, C, D. Now, typically they don't go by each letter. It's AA, B, D, double E, and then it can go even farther than that. So men's shoes, they're typically a D, that's your average width or your normal width, and then your wide width would be considered a 2E. For females, a B is considered your average or your normal width, and then your D is your wide width. But if you have those width options, then you can fit the foot a lot better and you won't be sliding around as much, or it won't be too tight, causing other issues. I talked a little bit about heel height at the beginning. All running shoes have different heel heights here. If you have something too high, then that can cause issues sliding forward, or maybe your calf tightens a little bit. But if it's also too low, if you already have a tight calf, or you're not used to it, then the calf can get really tight as well. So to be safe, you can always go with an average heel height. I believe that's around maybe 8 to 10 millimeters, but you can test it out and also talk to your local shoe store, running store, and see what they recommend. Brands that I really enjoy, I really recommend for runners are New Balance. New Balance are great for wide feet. So if you have a very wide foot, New Balance would be a great shoe to take a look at. Brooks is also a good one. They tend to be wider, but maybe not as wide as your New Balance, but Brooks is also a really good brand. Saucony is one I typically recommend. I think they're more of an average kind of width, average depth, and then your Asics, they tend to be a little bit narrow, so if you have a narrow foot, Asics is great. And all of these do have wider width options, so it doesn't mean if you have a wide foot you can't use Asics, and if you have a narrow foot you can't use New Balance. But I find that sometimes it fits a little bit nicer if you have wide versus narrow feet in those ends of the spectrum. But what narrow feet definitely can fit in let's say a double A width in your New Balance and or even a B if you're male or female. And then if you have a wide foot, if you go to an A6, you can go to a D or a double E, and that would fit as well. But test them out, especially if you're doing a lot of running. You want to test out different brands and see what you like. If you find one you like, just stick to that one. I do want to note that within each brand, there are some better shoes than others. So a lot of times within those 4 brands I talked about, if it's a little bit more expensive, there are typically there are better features in the shoe. Again, you can talk to a shoe store and see what brand or what specific styles within a brand are better for your feet. Some have stability features, which means there's extra support on the inside. Some are neutral, which means there's not any extra support on the inside. And depending on which one you want will depend on if you have, or how your foot is, if you have orthotics, and yeah, just how you're running. So talk to the person that you're getting the shoes from and make sure that you're getting the right features for you. But again, if you're getting more of an inexpensive shoe, it might not have all of the stability or cushioning features that you'd be looking for in a running shoe. So that's just a general rule about running shoes. Another good thing about running shoes in particular are they have extra cushioning around the outsides here. So when you're running, it might help absorb a little bit of shock. So running shoes compared to a walking shoe, they would have a little bit more cushioning to them, and they're a little bit lighter. Another thing to be aware of when you're running is to make sure that you're replacing your running shoes frequently. You're doing a lot more miles on your running shoes than you might be doing when you're just walking. So take a look at your running shoes, make sure you're replacing them. People who are doing a lot of running might replace their shoes every 4 to 6 months. And even still, they might be rotating between different shoes and still replacing them every 6 months because there's so many miles on them. Every year is usually the average. So if you're just doing a little bit of running, a year might be a good indication. So look at it after 6 months, make sure there's no wear on the bottom. If you notice any pain starting to develop and you've had the shoe for about 6 months, then that might be an indication that you need to replace your shoes. It could be knee pain, hip pain, even foot pain. A lot of times shoes can be the cause of pain developing. So those are a few tips on what kind of running shoes are best for running. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out and I would be happy to help.